Hey everyone, I'm super excited. Today I have a very special guest with me, Caroline from Australia. And I really wanted Caroline to jump on with me because I find her story so inspiring. I know she's going to inspire lots of you guys watching today. And so, Caroline, thank you for joining me. And just I want you to share with everyone just briefly, like, your backstory before you found Sticky Butt, because you graduated from Sticky Butt almost a year ago, and your life has completely done a 180 since then. So just share a little bit before Sticky Butt, like what was your life like?
Okay. So I did ride a bit as a child, and then, like everyone's story, sort of stopped to have children and careers and all that sort of stuff. And I was starting to ride again, and got to a point of frustration of my confidence, my ability. I had problems with my hip. I felt like I was getting too old, and I was thinking of not riding anymore. And then I decided that I was going to take a big step, and it was a big step for me to commit to this to Sticky Butt. And I did it, and I was very as soon as I did it, for the moment, I was introduced to you and to the course, I saw improvements day one. That's sort of quick summary on where I was.
Well, you just kind of breezed over the fact that you were going to quit riding. Like, that's a huge decision to make, especially because you're so involved with horses. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, you were going to quit riding.
Yeah, so I bought myself, I bought a lot of horses over the time, and I bought myself a new horse. And also I've got kids that ride, and so I'm taking them to here, there, and everywhere, and I'm sitting on sidelines watching them being coached. And then every now and again I would get on, and I would get on a fair bit and ride, and I just couldn't get over that I was nervous. And I bought this new horse for me, and he didn't buck me off, but to me it was a buck. He pig rooted a few times, and I came off. And that just put me off, and it was just like, I'm with them all the time. I'm taking my kids everywhere all the time, and I just went, maybe I just got to give up. Maybe I just can't get over this hurdle. And the hurdle was not the love or anything like that. It was the mindset, really, was my hurdle. And it was my last ditch effort, was grabbing onto this, because I started, I was watching stuff and motivation stuff, and I just couldn't really get through to myself. And it wasn't until I got to the Sticky Butt, which is so different, because it wasn't about, you can stand in an arena and go, I'm a world class rider, which is part of the mindset thing, which I say. Yeah. But you went to the basics of, you don't need to be scared, because we're going to make it so that you can't fall off. And that wasn't anything that I came across. And by the way, I've never fallen off since. Like, falling off is now not an option. And so I always go,
amen.
Yeah. And I do that with everything now. It's like, if there's something happening, falling off is not an option. And so then I change the way I do it. And, there's been so much that's come from the Sticky Butt, the automatic reaction to get into that fetal position, getting your head out of that. And I hadn't come across anything like that before. It was my platform to keep riding. And 12 months later, I'm still riding.
Yeah. And one of the things that I loved about you when you did the Sticky Butt, I mean, you were on every coaching call. You were asking me lots of interesting questions. Even after Sticky Butt, I remember you were sharing, oh, I heard a trainer say such and such, is that right? And you're just kind of, I think it opened your eyes to a lot of different new concepts and ideas. Do you want to just share a little about that?
Yeah, and I always am very careful, not that I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to annoy everybody by popping on, but I love seeing people's results, and I admire them so much, all of them. But yeah, there was a thing that I suppose, like, I believed in you, because you would tell us something, we put it into practice, and hey, it worked. So there was a thing, I don't even remember what it was. I think it might have been about bits, or it was something. Oh, it was something about you can't do seated trot without connection or something. I can't remember, but you were like very passionate about it in your reply. And you set me straight. And it was good because I was like, I'd like another opinion on that. So yeah, I was very interactive, and I still pop on, like, which is how I ended up here, because I was watching your interview and I went, it's very inspiring watching and listening to what other people are saying and doing.
Yeah. So I do want to share something with you. I don't think I've ever shared this with you before. The first time that you shared a video in the Sticky Butt, because you were one of the newer ones. I think I had created Sticky Butt. This was after COVID. I've been an in-person coach my whole life, and I was like, oh, is this virtual thing really going to work? And I'll never forget, I saw the video of you riding, and I was a little bit concerned because I felt like, oh my gosh, like she could fall, like she doesn't have balance and I need to help her. And so I was a little bit like, oh, I hope to God this virtual thing works and I'm not just BSing. But you did it, and you did the program. And I can't tell you, you said you felt results in day one. Every video that you were posting, I was like, oh my God, like this is working. You're doing such a great job. And why don't you share a little bit? Because when I first met you, you jumped on the coaching call and you said, I've never jumped bigger than an X across rail. And you're so stuck on, I'd love to be able to jump. I'd love to. I don't know if it's possible for me. And, here we are a year later. Why don't you share a little bit of what you've been able to accomplish in the past year and how much that's changed from, when I first saw you until now?
Yeah. So yeah, when I took on the Sticky Butt, it was in winter for us. So we tended to have no events, and then it was also COVID, so I couldn't go anywhere. So I was committed that I was going to do 7 weeks. It took me 7 weeks, I think, to do it, do the program. And I was actually doing it on 4 courses. So I would go and do it on one and then on the other. And that was really interesting. But I think one of the first things I said on day one was, oh my God, I just found my seat bones. And I don't know how many times I've heard people saying, sit on your pockets, sit on your pockets. And it didn't mean anything to me. And this was the first time with the frogs on how to find it. And that really changed things. And so then by the time we got out of winter and I'd done all of the Sticky Butt thing, I was like, I'm ready to go. We're going to go. We're done. We go and do all the local shows. And, everyone's saying to me, oh, Caroline, you're going to jump all the cross rails this year. And I'd go, maybe. And, I start with, if there's a cross rails, I'm always in it. I'll enter the cross rails because I love it. And then I'll do the next level up, which is normally like a 45 or a 50. And I did it. And not only did I do it, I couldn't believe it. Like I actually, at one show, I got first place in a 50 centimeter jump. And that to me, that's, that was my highlight. That, here I went from, I'm going to quit. And to, I just won. I mean, ultimately it was optimum time. So, that I'm not very fast. So it was optimum time and it was adults only.
Yeah.
But I had competitors, it wasn't only me in it. There wasn't only 2 of us, there was.
You won some money, didn't you?
I did. I won $50. That's right. I won $50. Oh, I was so excited. And I waited my whole life to do the lap of honor, and I rode that and I was so proud. And, I didn't think that I would ever get that. I've got a lot of, I'm involved in a huge horse community. As I said, I've got children who ride for school, and so every Wednesday I'm surrounded by horsey people, and they were all just cheering and supporting me on, and they're always saying to me, you do so well, but I would like to achieve so much more. But what I have achieved since in that last year is huge. And I think what's interesting now is that I've hit the winter. We've come to winter again, and I've gone, okay, well, I've done all of that. Now it's time to rethink it again about what am I going to achieve in this next season coming. And I've just, I think about it all the time.
That's awesome. And you were posting pictures of you jumping like cross country jumps and.
Oh, did I? Yeah, because I do cross country. I love eventing. You know, like the kids do 1-day events, and I would love, you know, our adult riding groups don't do it very often, but when they do, I'm right in there. But you know, cross country is another thing on its own. We do cross country clinics here, and you know, I take my old fella out there, and he suddenly becomes a 2-year-old, and you know, it's and I'm confident out there with him. So I'm happy, you know, and I actually don't mind that he becomes more forward. But you know, that I wouldn't have done that previously. Um, I think, you know, ignorance is bliss. The first time I did a cross country with my guy was in 2018. And I'm like, yeah, I've got my old fella, you know, we'll just go out there, it'll be fine. And I nearly died because you know, he was suddenly really forward. But I managed it. But that was before I had this lull and got very lost my confidence. It just amazes me, and you hear everybody say it. You know, I was here, and then I was here, and then I was here, and then I was here. And it happens to us all. And I think hearing other people's stories of that, you know, you do have your highs and lows, and you do lose confidence, and you know, kids don't seem to do it like adults do, but we do. And then so then you look for, well, how can I, you know, what's my next driver? How can I get that confidence back again? Because once you've got it, it's so much fun.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny that you say that, because I think one of my students who's currently doing Sticky Butt, she just sent me a message the other day, like, I can't believe I've fallen off more. Like, her eyes were kind of opened at how unbalanced she was, because she's a pretty good rider. But she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't had accidents or something. I don't know if you've kind of felt the same, like, as you said, ignorance is bliss, but I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, like when I was younger, I don't know. I do feel kids have a natural balance. And I think that, you know, I had no idea. So there was none of the anxiety of what could happen. And I think that, you know, knowing what could happen is what impacts us all a lot as when we're older. I think that what happened to me was when I noticed how unbalanced I had, I was more like, oh, now I understand why I struggled to stay on top, because my balance was so bad. I was also not nearly as fit as I am now. And I'm not that fit, but I'm a lot fitter than I was. And, you know, that helps an awful lot. And if I sort of want to jog my memory on like, you know, remember what it is to check your balance, you know, just check it. And I can feel that, you know, that I've got a lot more strength than I did.
That's great. And so after Sticky Butt, you kind of started transitioning and doing some of the guided audio riding lessons. Do you want to just kind of briefly share some of your experience with that?
Yeah, I think so. I was very sort of like committed to Sticky Butt, and I kept, you know, I did it all the way to the end, and then I was like, okay, I need to get myself, because I did stay in around yard the whole time to do it, because I really wanted to be in a safe environment, and I wasn't being lunged, and so I was having hands free as much as I could. And then I was like, wait, I need to get something bigger, and rather than just going and riding aimlessly around, I then went up to the audio lessons, and I really, really enjoyed them because they gave me that direction of going down there, and they also gave you a distraction. So I would listen to your introduction as I was riding down to the arena, which I often find is a bit spooky. And listening to you talking was a great distraction. And then even in audios, you know, when you're going along and listening, and then all of a sudden you say something about breathing, and you go, oh yeah, I should breathe. So the audios are great, and you know, I haven't done one for ages, and but I will get back into them this week when I start sort of training again.
So what are your future plans? So you've jumped 60 centimeters. So what's next on the agenda for you?
Well, I haven't jumped 60 centimeters to be adequately. So I still say I would want to be jumping 60 centimeters. I'm doing a big, I'm retiring my horse to just being learn to ride for little kids. And I'm moving to a younger horse. So I now want to be able to sort of work my way up on this new horse, and to get to the 60 seconds. But I want to be able to nail it. Not, we got over the 60 centimeters, but it was not pretty, and my mind had gone. I was there, but I wasn't quite there. So my next challenge is to start with my little Sparkles, who's a much smaller horse, and it's probably going to be a lot better for me physically. As we said, I do have an arthritic hip, which means that I really don't have a lot of flexibility. Once I'm on a horse, I don't have a lot of flexibility in my pelvis. So that it causes, that creates a lot smaller. And so, I might, I'm hoping that with that smaller, I can then launch into not being scared to jump over 60 centimeters. Well, I am now because she's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my goal now, is to really hope up so that the season will come around again and the shows will come around, and I'll do it again, but this time I'll be doing a younger horse, which is a huge challenge for me.
Perfect. So there's a lot of people who might be watching right now who they're in that position that you were a year ago. Maybe they're feeling frustrated. Maybe they're even like borderline, should I quit? They've lost their confidence. They don't know if it's possible for them because they've had years of, I guess, maybe believing that it's not. What's your advice for someone in that situation? Like, what would you say to yourself a year ago?
I suppose if you're really passionate about it and you're dreaming about it and you really, really want to do it, then you got to do it. If you go, oh no, like I'm not really into it, then fine. But if you really, really, and I was sort of like, oh yeah, well I won't ride anymore, but that made me really sad. So, and I didn't want to give up something that I loved, and just being on the ground with the horses wasn't enough for me. So yeah, my advice would be just keep going, go for it, do what it takes to make it happen. If that's being on top of a horse, then yeah, I mean, I don't know, because Sticky Butt was really new when I looked into it, and there was just listening to it, I just thought, this is different. This is something really different, and this is something that I think would be, that's worth giving a shot. So yeah, if I was standing in front of me a year ago, I'd say give this a shot, because it worked for me. And I haven't actually heard anyone. I mean, there's so many people who've done it now that I don't know if you've had anyone that's gone, oh yeah, that's really nice, but it didn't work for me.
No, I've never had that either. Which is funny. A lot of people, they always have. I think it's easy to make excuses for a lot of things about why this won't work or why that won't work. I've had so many different types of people with different types of saddles and all different countries and different languages and different horses, and it works for everyone. I've never had it not work. So yeah, you just have to, as you said, like be committed and do it, because that's exactly what you did. You did it.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that it's teaching you to ride from basics, and so many of us and I think it's for children. Children learn naturally to balance. They teach themselves how to balance. They teach themselves how to get onto their tailbones. A lot of them, if they're naturally sort of talented like that. But as we get older, if we had it when we were young, and I think that's what really amazes me, these young riders who then have all these years off and then come back and suddenly they've lost their balance, they've lost their nerve. You have to learn it. And I haven't come across any teaching that teaches it like the Sticky Butt program, which just takes it right back to basics. And I watch these kids learn to ride now, and I'm not the coach. And I sit there and go, you're asking them to trot and canter. They can't balance. They don't know where their seat bones are. Why are you not teaching them that basics? And as I said, I throw it in the whole doing some frogs and dogs and things. And they look at me like, I'm like, kids are kids. And I'm like, what? But it works. It really works.
Yeah. No, it's funny that you say that. I will say maybe a symptom of the sticky butt is you will start to see others and how unbalanced they are. And I have noticed a lot of my students come to me like, I was watching a video of, you know, a friend of mine and I was cringing because I wanted to say something to help them, but I couldn't. So I definitely see that a lot. And sometimes you'll hear people teaching things and you'll want to like, you know, tell them what you're teaching is not really correct.
Or that it's or what you're teaching is way too far down the path. I'd like to, you know, with our pony club series, to be able to introduce your methods at the basic levels, you know, and then you go to that. You know, like, don't they sort of have to have some sort of balance before you've got them tearing around? But yeah, so I can't say enough good things about you.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Again, like I said, I find it inspirational. I love getting the little updates of you with your little ribbons and jumping jumps and doing things. So I love it. I'm excited to have you as a member in the community, and we're watching for your journey over the next year. So thank you.
Hopefully I'll be able to give you a video of me doing my 60 centimeters and
Yeah, definitely doing your little victory lap for sure.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for joining. For any of you who's watching, if you're inspired by her story and you're just like ready to take that leap, then I want you to just comment down below, free call, and let's jump on the call. Let's talk about how we can get you a sticky butt. And yeah, I'll reach out to you. So thank you again, Caroline, for joining me all the way from Australia. And I look forward to following your journey.